We're going to try to do the impossible tonight. We're going to try to take 100 hours of lectures on Revelation and end-time prophecy and condense it down into 1 hour session with you. So there's many scenarios going around today that are causing fear and terror and confusion in many people's hearts and minds about what's going on in our world, where is it heading, are we at the end of the world? We're going to try to address those issues this evening. Well, one thing we know for sure, the world will not end on December 21st, 2012. I was speaking on a military base just December of this past year, and I told the officers and enlisted men about my perspective on end-time prophecy. I said, for years the world's been over here, and Revelation has been far over here, seemingly impossible to ever be fulfilled. But I said, if my perspective is correct, and I believe that we are that generation, and Revelation is about to unfold in our lifetime, then we should begin to see the world moving in this direction. And that's exactly what we see. And this evening we're going to share with you some highlights of those prophecies that indicate we are definitely moving in that direction.
I don't think anyone can deny that we're living in unique times right now. You just turn the television on or listen to the radio, you hear these constant themes of mass shootings, out of control natural disasters, Middle East conflict and global warming. All these things are bringing us towards something is going to be happening. And what happens with all these things that are going on in the world, we begin to ask certain questions. What's going on? Where are things headed to? And perhaps, are we really living in the last days? And see, people want to have questions or answers to these questions. And what do? They go to astrologers. They look at horoscopes. They go see what the politicians say. But we know there's only one person who can tell us what's going to happen and where things are headed. And that's only God. This is what the prophet Isaiah said. He said the following, "And do not forget the things I have done throughout history. For I am God, I alone. I am God, and there's no one else like me. Only I can tell you what is going to happen even before it happens. Everything I plan will come to pass." That's what our focus is going to be tonight, is to look at the Bible, God's revealed word, and to see from God's perspective what's going on in our world right now and where things are heading. And the book that best does this is the book of Revelation. It's the last book of the Bible. And what I want to do is I just want to establish very quickly a historical basis. Because when you bring up the book of Revelation, you talk about apocalypse, people think you're talking about science fiction and mythology. What I want to show first of all is that the book of Revelation is rooted in history. First of all, we know the apostle John was the author of the book. He wrote to the 7 churches of Asia, and the focus of the book is the apocalypse, or Jesus Christ in all his glory. You see, we had in the New Testament, the Gospels, we had the fulfillment of the first time Jesus came. We had all these messianic prophecies that were literally fulfilled. We had prophecies that talked about Jesus Christ and where he'd be born, how he would die, and all these other things were literally fulfilled. So when we approach second coming prophecies, we should approach it like the first coming and recognize that there's a little fulfillment for what we are about to see. We talked about that John is writing this book to the 7 churches of Asia, and these were actual churches. Here's a map right here that shows you the Roman Empire during the time of John. What was interesting, when I was in seminary, the very first class I took was a study in Turkey where we visited each of these cities. So it's an actual cities that John is writing this revelation to. We get some more background information. We see that John wrote this about AD 94, 96. And John, when he's receiving this revelation from God, he's exiled on the Isle of Patmos. And Patmos was a volcanic barren island where they would send prisoners. You see, at the time that John was receiving this revelation, there was a worldwide persecution going on under the Domitian, who was the Roman emperor. And what would happen during that time, if you were a prisoner, either you'd be executed, you'd be enslaved, or you'd be exiled. And here we see John receiving this revelation while he's being exiled. And one thing about Domitian was usually Roman emperors would claim to be God after they died. So once a Roman emperor was dead, they'd be deified. But see, Domitian had a big ego. He said, I don't want to wait till I'm dead. I want to be worshipped while I'm alive. So what he did is he built these altars all throughout the Roman Empire where people would have to come. You see this temple platform right here. They would have to come, and once a year, they would have to burn incense on these altars and say, Caesar is Lord. So you're seeing the historical context when John is receiving this revelation, what is going on. Because what you're going to find, just like Domitian was making the world worship him, there will be very soon a person known as the Antichrist who will rise to power and demand the whole world to worship him as well.